you have to defend your time and your work-life balance. And it has changed dramatically. I think in COVID, it's not uncommon to hear a parent apologize for a kid walking in the background or coming to sit on their lap or whatever. And I think those moments are beautiful and we should embrace them. And it humanizes all of us even more. And it gets me to know who you are as a dad or as a parent or, your pet or whatever it is. And so just being clear about the comfort with that. And we used to talk about work-life harmony and balance, and understanding now that it's gonna intersect each other more and more. They used to be more defined and now they're just kind of wrapped together, but embracing that for each individual. And that may mean that you drop your kid off to school in the morning, but you got up early to put in an hour or so, and then you go do that and you come back and work and you have to pick them up and then you go back to work. It's really balancing it for what works for you as an individual, but also in leadership, giving the okay, giving them the team the freedom to do that. And so a saying we've had is manage the person to their role, not their location. And that just kind of can be freeing to some people to understand and not worry about some of those things.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Most people believe that they understand work-life balance. Maybe they find out what works for them and they expect others to have the same similar approach. But here's the reality. We're all different. Some people like pizza, some people hate pizza. I actually love pizza, but I digress. When you think about work-life balance, you want to have a company that really has its attention to what serves the culture, what serves the people and the teams. You want to get the results, but you want to also do it in a way that doesn't burn people out, a way that truly aligns people. We talk about this with the CEO of Spinutech, and that is Marc Reifenrath. Hopefully I got that right. But Marc and I had a great conversation about the principles of work-life balance and what that really means inside of our organizations, what it looks like, the things that they're paying attention to. You'll be surprised about this. We talk about some of the guilt that gets in the way of how we go on vacation, how we take work and how we take time off. And it really will be helpful to you to understand how this is helping align people together. My hope is that you find insight in all of these interviews, but I want to go a step further. I want to give you the best shot at you having the company of your dreams and having the team of your dreams that are aligned together and have the culture that works. That happens through great leadership. I want to help you become the powerful leaders that your team deserves. Do you know what's getting in the way? Well, I can have those conversations with you and help you zero into it in less than about 15 minutes. All we have to do is get on a call and talk about it. Just go to genehammett.com and schedule a call. Now, a lot of people don't take me up on this, but I really want to encourage you, if you really would love to understand how to keep your company growing, how to keep your team aligned, and how to really address all of the different phases that companies go through during different inflection points. It helps to talk to someone who's been through this themselves and who coaches people through it day in and day out. That's me. Look forward to talking to you about that. Just go to genehammett.com and schedule a call. Now, here's the interview with Marc. Marc, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. We're going to have a great conversation here to talk about what does it take to create the work-life balance that we need and continue to scale the company. But before we get there, tell us about your company, Spinutech.
Yeah, so Spinutech was started when I was a junior in college at the University of Northern Iowa over 20 years ago. We've grown. We've got 5 physical locations and about 175 team members. We actually have close to 40 remote team members now, but all digital. We're privately held. We've got lots of amazing clients, but full service digital. So SEO, websites, paid media, social content, analytics. I mean, basically any tool or tactic you would need digitally, we're going to have a team of experts to help support that. So it's a passion of mine, and the team that we have does really, really great work, and excited to talk more about it.
I don't want to go too far off into this, but I love marketing, and I know that a lot of people here are struggling with their own marketing. What do you think is the thing that's coming around the corner that we're just not aware of as it relates to marketing, generating leads, and really driving our businesses forward?
So obviously a lot of people are talking about data, but I don't think a lot of people are using it in the right ways for marketing. So making sure that you're making decisions based off of the data from the past, but more importantly, starting to use data to project what can happen in the future. And so oftentimes when people talk about data, they're only looking in the rear view mirror, and we're starting to use it to definitely be using that to make some decisions, but more importantly, make decisions looking forward and telling our clients what we know is going to happen, as opposed to, if we do this, we think this will happen. And so that's exciting. That's really fun to be able to not only do the marketing part, but then use the data on top of it to make informed decisions.
Well, I know everyone that you're probably doing business with probably comes to you because you're able to explain things, not just in how this might work for you, but using data to really paint that picture, I think is pretty powerful.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we do. We use that data, even in the sales pitch, to say, here's how we've done it with other clients, and help, bring it to life for them so it really clicks.
Marc, we're going to switch gears here a little bit because we could probably talk about marketing until everyone else got everything out of us. And really, it would be fun to talk down those things with you. But I want to go into this work-life balance. I think there's been a lot of shifts that have happened in the last couple of years through COVID, through all this change, work from home and everything. When you think about work-life balance, what are your kind of principles that guide you?
Well, I think that a lot of people put that responsibility on the employer or their boss. And I always tell them, I do a cultural onboarding with every new team member. And one of the things I grant them permission from my perspective to just make sure they're very clear about how I view it is, you have to defend your time and your work-life balance. And it has changed dramatically. I think in COVID, it's not uncommon to hear a parent apologize for a kid walking in the background or coming to sit on their lap or whatever. And I think those moments are beautiful and we should embrace them. And it humanizes all of us even more. And it gets me to know who you are as a dad or as a parent or, your pet or whatever it is. And so just being clear about the comfort with that. And we used to talk about work-life harmony and balance, and understanding now that it's going to intersect each other more and more. They used to be more defined, and now they're just kind of wrapped together, but embracing that for each individual. And that may mean that you drop your kid off to school in the morning, but you got up early to put in an hour or so, and then you go do that and you come back and work, and then you have to pick them up and then you go back to work. It's really balancing it for what works for you as an individual, but also in leadership, giving them the team the freedom to do that. And so a saying we've had is, manage the person to their role, not their location. And that just kind of can be freeing to some people to understand and not worry about some of those things.
So I imagine this came because something got out of whack. I don't know exactly what it was in your world, but I've had dogs come in here. My son's a teenager, so he doesn't want to come in here. But I have dogs that are uninvited to this, and I invite them in. We have a moment. Hopefully we can calm them down and get them out. But is there anything specific that happened that caused you to really think about this over the last couple of years?
I mean, I think all of us, COVID has forced us, maybe we had thoughts, but they weren't as pronounced or strong. And so I think for me, just witnessing the stress or the concern of different individuals on our team for various reasons, and trying to eliminate anything we had in our control to eliminate that stress or concern, that was my goal from the start of COVID. And so letting people understand that it's okay to deal with family. It's okay to go take a little mental clarity walk or break during the middle of the day. And so we always talk about rewiring, society builds expectations. When you're at a party and somebody's like, how's work going? And the popular answer is, oh, I'm busy. But I don't know if that's the right answer. We say that as a status a little bit, but I think freeing people's mind to be like, it's really balanced. Like, I'm doing great work, putting in a solid 40 hours and everybody's happy. But so many businesses, especially agencies, know that if they cheat time and they squeeze 50, 60 hours a week out of you, they don't have to hire another individual. For every 4 people they do that, that's one less person they have to hire. And so it's our responsibility as leaders of an agency to be profitable with work-life balance and play. And so I don't know that there was aside from COVID, there was maybe more defined moments, but prior to that, I think we used to joke in the beginning, we never worked for the man. We never went to work for a big corporation. And so we just kind of always had this common sense approach of, well, we work here too. What's best for us? And that's probably shaped some of our thinking, because it was just a very unfiltered, untarnished viewpoint of how work should be.
Now, Marc just talked about the I'm busy badge of honor. Now, we all have had this. We've told people we're busy. We can, really tell stories around this and have a lot of positive energy around this, or negative energy sometimes. But here's the reality. You want to make sure that It's not just about being busy, but it's about results. That people are really measured by the output and the impact they're making, not by the number of hours. And it really is important for you as a leader to be able to sort through that, to be able to cycle around all of the typical measures. I'm not sure what you're using to track people's time, but in many cases, you want to make sure that you are looking at the results and really, gauging people's impact in the organization based on results. This may not mean just sales or some other type of factor that you can, put your hands on. Maybe it's developing others around them. We work a lot in leadership development. A lot of people forget to mention, are they developing their team? Let's go back to Marc for a little bit more. When you think about the whole concept of mental health inside of our work, digital agencies are, notorious for burning out people because, and part of it's because they really love what they're doing. They love the creative energies that it takes, but then there's a cost to that after this. Are you having to address mental health issues like head on right now inside your company?
Yeah, I think first of all, just having the conversation is not pretending it doesn't exist anymore. And so the last couple of years, we've definitely been providing a lot of options and tools, and we've brought in some speakers and stuff for the team. But also, what are we doing? What's our responsibility to the team for this and keeping that in check? And so, we talked about data a little bit in the beginning of the conversation, but we use a lot of data on our team too. And a lot of people go, oh, sure, you care about how much they bill and all that stuff. Well, sure, that's important too. But if you work more than 43 hours in a week, we're going to get an alert go off for that. If you haven't taken PTO in 90 days, we get an alert for that. If it were up to me, we would not allow PTO to roll over because we're all a battery that needs recharged. And so we desire you to take PTO so that you can come back and not PTO in the sense of taking an afternoon off here and there or a 3-day weekend, like truly taking time off and resetting and recharging so that you can come back more creative. And so a lot of people that have come from other agencies, they are thinking that this is the way it has to be in our space. And so the conversation of rewiring and thinking differently is a common one. And it takes some people some time to believe that that's the way that we truly think. But we think that we've got a good formula for making all parties happy, all parties being, the business, our team, and our clients. And if we can keep all three of those in check, we're in a good spot.
Now, many times, a lot of this comes from cues from the top. Have you had to rethink your own work-life balance as things have changed over the last few years?
Yeah, so I couldn't agree more that as leaders, we give permission, whether that's verbally given or through our actions, for the way that others act and the way that they speak and think and do. And so it's being very cognizant of all those things. If I yell at a client or yell at another team member in front of somebody else, I've just given everybody else around them permission to yell as well. And so work life, I have to make sure that I'm living to that as well. And I have a young family. We've got twins that are 4 and a 7-year-old. And so I desire to spend time with my family. And so thinking about my travel, thinking about when I am working and trying to draw those boundaries. And we are in a service industry, so there's going to be ebbs and flows where we are busy or I'm going to have some travel here and there, but not being afraid to, if I was traveling the prior week for 4 days, to take that afternoon off and make sure I can pick JP up from school or, spend the morning with the twins that aren't in school yet and do some of that family time that was taken from me in essence. Because in the agency space, when you travel, it's not like you work 8 to 5 still. It's typically you work 8 to 5 with a client, and then you go to dinner and get back to your hotel room at 9 or 10 at night and you're exhausted and you wake up and do it all over again. And so just trying to lead by example, be a servant leader, helping others, and trying to not box our team into those situations when it's unnecessary. Thinking about how we're scheduling travel, thinking about how we're scheduling in general to make sure we're not forcing them to do those things that disrupts it.
Now, Marc just talked about giving someone the permission to yell. Now, you wouldn't do this openly, but if you lost your top with someone, then you are telling others that's what leadership is. I call this the trickle down effect. A lot of the good skills that you have and the strengths will trickle down, but not very efficiently. But your bad skills in leadership trickle down very efficiently. They will see that is the standard, what's expected of them based on how you show up. You lead by example. And so I put a spotlight on this for a moment because I want you to really think about this. And it doesn't have to be about you yelling. It could be about you being on time to meetings. It could be about how you engage and empower people and how you make decisions or how you let others make decisions. The real, what we mean by empowerment. All of these things are necessary if you want to create the kind of company that you really love to go to work for and grows in a healthy, scaled way. I say all this to you because I want you to be the most powerful leader you can be. Now back to Marc. I want to get into the nitty-gritty of this, Marc, because I know that within my own personal energy levels, I've felt a bit of guilt and even shame sometimes by not putting in more and getting more done. Have you ever figured out or met that struggle and found a solution for the guilt and shame that you had to face?
I definitely, for a very long time, struggled with that. Absolutely. If I was on vacation, I felt bad because, if a team member had to take on something because of me being gone, or fill in the blank, right? There's lots of things that could make you think and feel that way. But I don't know if there was a click or an epiphany or what, but one thing I've been good at and our team's been good at is hiring really talented individuals. And, you always want to hire people smarter than yourself. And for me, that's not hard to do. So I've gotten really good at that. And when you truly can trust those individuals, you have to look at those times of you being away as an opportunity for them to accelerate. And it gives them a platform and opportunities to showcase their skills that are within them. And so it's actually, that guilt is maybe more about yourself and your own mistrusts of yourself. And so when you empower others in the right way, it can actually be a beautiful thing. And so I have, over the last few years, had less of those feelings because I know how amazing the leaders around me are and how capable they are. And it's also telling them that, like empowering them to make those big decisions in my absence. And so it also eliminates, when you come back or just in the day-to-day, it's freeing for them to have that ability to make those decisions as well.
This reminds me of a conversation I have with a lot of my clients about the guilt that it takes, as leaders who want to work even harder and, get there earlier and stay later. And I get those things, but it comes at a cost to everyone around you. Some people will look at a leader who is putting in all that extra effort because we want to add value. And they will say, I don't want that kind of life.
Right.
They'd rather have a life where it feels like there is that sense of balance or sense of freedom that sounds like you're allowing not just the executives of a growing organization to have, but you really encourage all people across the organization to find what work-life balance is for them and to live that and to express that within their teams so that everyone can be supportive around that. Do I have that fair, accurate?
Totally. Well, and just because you work more doesn't mean that it's better. So if you have somebody on your team that's putting in 50 hours, but somebody is getting the same amount of output done in 36, there's a difference there. And also, if you haven't taken PTO or if you are getting burned out, what's the quality of those hours? And so that's why PTO is so important, to go recharge, turn off work, come back. Hour for hour, you're going to be better and more effective. And if you're a leader, you're going to be a better leader. Or if you're a strategist, you're going to be making better decisions. And some of my best ideas, I always tell leadership team when I come back from PTO, buckle up that week after, because I'm going to have a lot of ideas. Because my mind was kind of reset, and so you come back with just a different energy. And it's good to step away and get out of it, because when you're in the forest, you don't see everything right. And so you've got to just do those resets. And again, leaders have to not say, oh, I'm on PTO, but feel free to call me or email me, I'll answer. Like you're sending the wrong message. And so setting those boundaries up for everybody and respecting them. And as leaders, I think the cop out is they need me. And some of us maybe have that desire that they want people to rely on us. But we're setting the wrong example for the team when we do those.
Very well said, Marc. I really appreciate you breaking into this. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you this, and I don't even know this to be true, but have you made any mistakes around this work-life balance that you wish you would have known earlier, whether it be for yourself or for your team?
I mean, sure. I think it's something that I've always struggled with. I always joke that I have a lot of carryover PTO from my 20s and 30s. And it's because I was, starting a business. It's difficult to maybe have that work-life balance because it does become your baby. It's your passion. And to some extent, you can work your way past others in those early days. But then you have that resetting, which is where, for I think a lot of entrepreneurs, that transition from an entrepreneur to a business, it's no longer just a job for you, it's a job for others, and you have that responsibility. that's where that guilt comes in and that transition. And so, that would be the time for me where I had to slowly start to rethink and recalibrate what work-life balance meant to me. And then just life stages, as our marriage progressed, kids, things like that, you have to kind of recalibrate for what works. And that's different for everybody. The ideal work week, in America, we think of it as 40 hours, but it may not be 40 hours for you. It may be 38, it may be 42 for the next person. And just dialing into what works for you. And that's a happy factor. It's a family, it's happy across the board. Are you happy as an individual? Is your family happy? Are your friends happy? All those things.
Well, great conversation here to talk about the principles of work-life balance, even in a growing company. Marc, I really appreciate your insights.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So this is a chance for me to reflect on what this whole interview has been about. And I really do believe in work-life balance, and not just for myself, but for my team too. Like I'm not asking them to put in 60 and 70 hours, but I will admit in my 20s, I had a boss who once said, I could not afford to pay you by the hour. Now, granted, my pay was like $27,000 was my first real job, but I was working 80, 100 hours. I loved it so much, and I wasn't taking those times. But I think in today's world, we need to be really strong leaders and really have some conversations around what work-life balance is, what it looks like, and the PTO that I think strong leadership is required in every area of your company and organization. And this is just another area that I think a lot of people just avoid because they figure it'll work itself out. But the reality is some people feel guilty. That guilt is something we don't really talk about. And it really does help for you to be the leader that your team really wants you to be. If you have any questions about what's next in your own leadership, my job is to help you figure out what's getting in the way and help you move forward. I do special sessions where I talk to founder CEOs about whatever the struggle is that keeps them from growing their company, their teams. It usually comes back to leadership. But I will tell you, I really enjoy these conversations. If you want to have that chat with me, just go to my website, genehammett.com, and schedule a call today. We'll have a chat. When you think of leadership and you think of growth, think Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.